Okay. Right. So this is the screen that you see when you first log into Busy Things with your teacher password, username and password from the main website, or if you're an LGFL user, perhaps from the LGFL website using your teacher USO. I'm just pointing out here that we're in teacher mode, and that's because you've used your teacher login. If we quickly look at pupil mode, you can see if the pupils are using the classroom login or their pupil USO, then they see a slightly different view. They see this. So you need to be in teacher mode. Because the main difference, which hopefully you noticed, is this area here, the bar along the top, and these drop down tabs here on the right. And those three things in combination are the fundamental difference between teacher mode and pupil mode, and are what are going to make using Busy Things easier for you and help you access the content quickly and easily. Okay, so when you first subscribe to Busy Things, all the content sits behind these age bands here. There's over 1,000 activities. If I look in the Key Stage 1 you can see that we've got what we call setups, and we've made by Busy Things, we've made you one for year 1 and one for year 2. And every setup comes with all the subject areas, which are the multicolored buttons, and these yellow areas here, which some of which we're going to be looking at today, specifically the My Assignments area, the Favorites area, My Files, and possibly Special Events. So these are areas in which you kind of direct content to the children. This is where all the content is, and you pull content out of here into here, or here, or here's a place where we've aligned content to calendar events that might be coming up in the future. Right, so instead of using the default setups, the best thing is to create your own. It's pretty obvious why, because if you start changing what children see in our default setup, other teachers may not want those changes. But if you make your own setup, then any changes you make are specifically for you, and you can manage them. So I'm going to go up here straight away to manage setups, and I'm going to make a setup for my class. I'll go into early years, seeing I'll go into Key Stage 1. So if you see here, it says create a new setup for early years, Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2. They were the bands that we saw on the welcome screen just now, and that's reflected here. So you can see the two setups that we were looking at in the Key Stage 1 band are represented here like this. Okay, so let's make a new one in the Key Stage 1 band. It's asking me to pick some default settings. So a number of you had a mixed year group. If it's a year 1/2 class, then this is still okay. So you can still customize the content later. So just pick one of those. If you're teaching multiple classes, then you should ideally make a setup for each of those classes with your own name on it. Okay, so I've chosen year 2. I'm going to choose an icon, and I'm going to change the background And so this has jumped in here and under this Key Stage 1 section. And I've got Mrs. Hall, default settings for year 2. And I'm going to show you where that is. It's just here, and it's orange because it's made by school. So this is my own setup. Whatever I do in there is just for me. So I'm going to reinforce that by hiding the default ones because I don't want my pupils to go into these ones. So I've switched off under shown in both teacher mode and pupil mode. So now when I go into Key Stage 1, I've just got my class set up. So as I just said, when you get a setup for the first time, it comes with everything handpicked by us for the year group that you chose, all in. And from this point onwards, what you're looking at doing is making your class setup only show the content that you want the children to be using, or having everything on if you're allowing free play, and you just really do want the children to roam around. Okay, so finding content. I'm still in teacher mode. I've still got my bar along the top, and you can see here I've got a link to the curriculum browser and I can search my setup. Those tools are also present out here, curriculum browser and search. So I'm going to show you how to do that, how to use these tools in a moment, but just to reinforce what you're looking at here in teacher mode is all the content in this setup layered behind these subject areas through menus. Because we're in teacher mode, you can actually explore and customize your setup within the setup if you want to. The way you do this is by drilling down into the content and using this little blue button here. So this blue button is key in teacher mode, and you'll see it in all places, and it gives you anything that you can do at that point with that activity. When you're browsing your class setup in teacher mode, you also get these menu filters, so you can switch on and off different activity types that might be on this subject menu. But this is not the most efficient way of finding content. As I said or hinted, we're better off using these tools here. So I'm going to show you this search tool here. So I can put in a search term. Let's put in Roman. And we start to get results on the right hand side here. And obviously I can use these various filters along here to reduce or expand what the results on the right hand side are. So here's this little blue button here again, and what you do is you find content within these search tools that you like. The nice thing about evaluating content in the search tool is that you always come back here. So if you've done a search and you've got a handful of activities that you just quickly want to check out, you can play them. And let's get a Key Stage 1. So the age range here is on a slider. So I'm going to go year 1, 2 here. And what you can do is you can have a quick look at an activity in your setup, decide if it's something you'd like the children to be doing. And when you come back from that activity, you're still here. So back and forth, looking for content, jump on this blue button, add to favorites, or you can use pin to set up home page. So it's Wednesday, Roman, confirm. So I did two different things there with the same activity. I'm going to show you what the results of that is. So we've got a pin up here called Wednesday Romans, and in that is the Roman soldier labeling activity, and the same with the favorites. I've put it in the favorites area. If we look at that as the pupils would see it, just switch back to pupil mode, you can see it's basically removed the teacher bar, and none of the activities have got the little blue button on anymore. But we still have all this distraction here, and what you ideally want is for the children to go into your setup and just see a small selection of content that you want them to focus on. So even though I've made a pin here, they're still free to roam around in here. You may want that, you may trust them to go into the pin, but you can go quite a lot further quite quickly in teacher mode. I can jump up here to the teacher bar and I can start customizing and hide large areas. So I'm going to hide all and click done. And now the children are just going to see my pin. So you could imagine you could pin several activities for the next few weeks or for the summer, and hide all the other content from them. There's nothing to stop you making multiple setups for different purposes. The number of setups that an account can have is limitless. It's possible if you've got only one child that is working remotely to just create a setup for that child. So setup is king at the moment in Busy Things. That's the step one with customizing. So I'm going to switch everything back on and show you another way of changing the view of your setup very quickly. So if I go into an area, say we want to do some art, impressionism, I could jump up here and just hide one activity if I want. So I've drilled down into a subject menu, and maybe one of them on the screen is not quite what I want the child to be looking at. So I've hidden that one and I'll click done. And now I'm going to jump up here to Mrs. Hall's settings. That's the name of your setup. You're in your setup, it says it here. And I want to just quickly change the settings of my setup to use the landing page as this current page that I'm on, not the setup's home page with all the subject areas on it. So I'm going to click use current page and save. So now when the pupils come along to our setup, they land here on the Impressionism menu, and they can have a play with these activities, and there's nothing else visible to them in the class setup. Okay, I'm going to switch back to teacher mode. If you're practicing customizing Busy Things, you can click keep me authorized for this session. You obviously don't want to do that if the children are then going to jump on, because they will be able to switch back to teacher mode without typing in a password. But it does make this process a bit quicker of checking what the pupils are seeing. Right, let's put that back. So I'm going back up to Mrs. Hall's settings, and I'm going to say use setups homepage and save. So now everything should be back on. The other thing to notice that's quite useful in the classroom is this little padlock button here. So if you go into a menu of activities and perhaps again you jump up to hide and you hide some of them, there is always the option to hide all if you're on a long menu, and then just reveal the ones that you want. But just take note of this padlock button, because what that does is it removes the back button. The padlock button is available everywhere, so it could actually be within a game. What you can do is put the padlock on. There we go. So if you can see now, there's no back button, and if I switch to pupil mode, there's no teacher bar. This is just maybe an activity that you've put up on the whiteboard. Nobody can get out of it, basically, not without the teacher password. So we'll get out of it now. So you can use the padlock to lock into a menu of activities and individual activities, a pin, anywhere where it's visible, which I believe is in most places. Okay, so we're back in teacher mode. Right, so just a quick recap. I've shown you that using the search tool is a better way of finding content. And when you find content using the search tools, you can go back and forth, and then you pop on the blue button, and you had those options to add to a pin, add to favorites. And in combination with hiding and changing the landing page and using the padlock, you can very quickly change what the children are seeing in the class setup that they're used to using. I'm going to go into the curriculum browser and show you a few more things off that little blue button. So if we go into Key Stage 1, because we made a Key Stage 1 setup, I'm going to go into Maths, Addition and Subtraction, Year 2. And what I'm doing is I'm actually drilling down into specific learning objectives. Just ignore that, you won't see that in your account. There's no flash requirement for busy things at all. This is because I'm in my own personal development account. So it's just an old hang on, as is this activity here. This is something we're working on at the moment. So you would see a list like this without that and that. And so let's go back on this blue button. We've done add to favorites. Activity info will give you a quick summary of what the game is, and the option to save the activity description along with all the curriculum links and a thumbnail of the activity onto a single sheet of A4. So some teachers like to have that as an evidence-based thing. So that was activity info. Curriculum links will show you the curriculum links. And this one here we haven't looked at. That's quite useful. So imagine you played this activity, you like it, you've come back and you want to send it home to the children. What you can do is create a shortcut. And if you choose specific setup login and choose your class and click make shortcut, this is the link that you need to send home. And as long as they've got the classroom login or their Pupil USO, when they log in after clicking that link, they will land inside that activity. So it is just to play a single game. Related activities are similar activities or activities that complement. It asks you to look like this. So these are activities that we think complement the was it Minor Birds game that we were just looking at. So we've just put a selection of things that would make a nice suite. And again, you've got your blue button here because we're in teacher mode. And go to location, shows you where it is in your setup, and pin to setup homepage we've already done. So the one thing that isn't here, and that's because this isn't a game that you can do it with, is assign activity. And we're going to look at that now. If this is an activity you can assign, if it is an activity you can assign, it will appear in the list here. We've got it there, assign activity. But I'm going to show you how to assign an activity in this assignments area here, because this is where you would see the results of an assignment. And so best practice is probably to make assignments in here. So there's only 3 types of activities that you can currently assign on Busy Things. You can assign quizzes, projects, and worksheets. So let's assign a quiz. We're Key Stage 1, and I'm going to assign the length quiz, Year 1, understanding and comparing and using non-standard and standard units. So I'm going to assign that activity. You can, as a reminder, you can jump onto any of these, play them, and when you click the back button, you'll come back here. So that's a quick way of checking out what you're assigning. I'm just going to choose 1 round because we want to be quick now. I'm not going to let the children review the answers. Now, you can make assignments appear in your setup at a future date. We don't want to do that now because we want to look at it right now. But this is an opportunity to plan several assignments across a week. You can assign one for every day of the week. And remember, if you put an end date, it will disappear. Okay, so this is saying you have made an assignment in your setup, and it says to review results, use the assignments link on the welcome screen, which is where we are now. Just go out again. So we were in here, and we've just made this one. Show assignments in setup. Mrs. Hall. Yeah. So this is just my assignment. I've only got 1, and I've got no submissions. It's reiterating where it is there, but we'll go and find it now. So let's be a pupil and go and find the assignment. You see I've got a number 1 on my assignments because there's 1 assignment there for me, assigned by Mrs. Hall. If the pupils have logged in with a Pupil USO, their name will be filled in here. For the moment, Busy Things Direct subscribers will have to type, the pupils will have to type in their name. That will be changing in September because the pupils will be asked to log in at an earlier stage. So I'm going to whiz through this quiz without reading it. So we've just got 10 questions. I'll just do them really quickly. It says your assignment has been submitted. I've got 5 out of 10. Okay, so got a little tick and job done. Teacher comes along to see if anybody has done the assignment. go in here and you can see I've got one submission, and now I've got a results button, and I'm starting to build up. If you remember, that quiz had 2 rounds, so it'd normally be about 20 questions up here if you had all the rounds switched on, and you're starting to build up information about which questions were causing trouble for individuals or the class as a whole. If you imagine a whole class building up down here, you can click on the cross and see which questions were the problem ones, and what the most common mistake was. And then always look in the teacher bar. These are your options at this point. So you can select all and export the results as a PDF. So assigning a project. So a project on Busy Things is topic work, and we have picture projects, which are basically early years colouring projects, and writing projects. Look at these icons here, they're repeated here. Oh, and graphs, you could assign a graph project. Have a look at the activity. When you assign, use the search tool up here. So let's go back to Roman. Oh, I don't know. Let's stick with Roman soldiers. Assign activity. Start. Next, exactly the same process, but with writing projects or colouring projects, you'll be asked to choose a template. So these are the available templates. What a Roman soldier wore, and next, start date and end date. Don't want to do that. Close. So I did that really quickly. Let's have a look. I should have 2 now. So we've assigned a piece of project work. If I go over back into the assignments area, you can see it's here. If I was in pupil mode, that wouldn't be there. This wouldn't be here. So when a pupil does a piece of topic work, the way that the results are collated is through thumbnails of their work, so that you can preview what they've written. So all our writing projects come with writing tools, clip art, and paint tools here. So we've got, and your colours are down the bottom here. So the pen represents an area that the children can draw in, and obviously this is typing hint. If there's a cog in a window, it's because there is a photo bank available that they can import from. Right, okay, so let's submit that. I'll just show you how that looks to the teacher in the assignments area. Result. So you can see here's my work. So a whole class worth of work would build up, and you'd be able to click on it and have a look at what they've done, or export the whole lot into a PDF and look at them that way. From September, teachers are going to be able to leave feedback on work. We're taking the summer to add a whole load of new features, because obviously there's quite a big likelihood that there might be periods when there are children still working from home for the foreseeable future, really. So we've spent quite a lot of time improving features that teachers have been asking for in this current situation. And the same process with assigning a worksheet, exactly the same. By a worksheet, we mean labeling, categorizing, or ordering activities. If there's some content that you can't find on Busy Things, you can make your own project. So using the Busy Paint Publisher or the Graph Maker. So I can make up something and what you get then is the opportunity to choose your own template. So we've got lots of templates here, lots of posters, cards. Explore through here. So I'm just going to choose that and save and close. So I've very, very, very quickly made my own project and put it in the assignments area there for the children to do. Right, so finally, I'm just going to jump in here and show you the resource maker. The resource maker is specifically for making paper-based resources to be used away from the screen. So you could email PDFs or print a PDF and then photocopy it for use away from the screen. All of these resources are designed to support activities that are available on Busy Things. So these phonics ones are the pink ones and the maths ones are orange. If I have a quick look in this one, you can see I've got missing letters. If I want to make a missing letters worksheet, it follows the same process, whatever worksheet I'm making. The very first thing you need to do is choose content. Every single worksheet, start at the top here and then work down through these options. So I'm going to pick some words. I'm going to say words containing double E. Just for speed's sake, I'll collect all of those and they've come in. And then you can start playing around with what you see here, which letters, which missing phoneme is there. And then you can save your settings. So close. And then what that does is it means that, sorry, I'm going a bit fast. I went in here and I clicked missing letters and made a missing letters worksheet and saved it. So it comes out here and I've got a missing letters folder with missing letters worksheets in. I made this one. I've got the date that I made it and the time, and I've got a summary of what's on it. So I can open that now and then make a PDF as and when I need to. Same with the maths. I can just go in. I would recommend spending a bit of time on this because there's so much. First step, choose content. That's direction starting from 50, forwards, backwards, both. Okay. Sequence 6, 7, 8, questions per page 7. Question type, 2 starting numbers, alternate missing numbers, space to write name, yes, no, save settings. Gives me a summary in the title too, but as the shared folder is a save folder is shared, I would recommend marking it somehow as yours. Again, in September, teachers will be invited to create their own login and they'll have their own saving area for worksheets. Okay, right, so I've whizzed through the resource maker. It is enormous. It would be good if you could spend a bit of time in there. Hopefully you like the idea of making some worksheets. The last thing that I pointed out that was unique to the teacher mode is this little drop down here. All this is a link to the latest news. The white tabs go to here. So it's telling you what we're up to. So this is from the 3rd of July, and we've revamped these games and gives us a summary of everything we've done and which are the games to look at. And you get a history of all the latest releases there. The yellow one links to the special events. So this is saying Big Butterfly Count is coming up. I can pin an entire event very quickly. Big Butterfly Count, Mrs. Hall Year 2, confirm, close. So if I now go in there, you can see I've pinned that for this up and coming event. Okay, I'm going to stop now because I've gone slightly over. Has anybody got any questions, or are you happy to have a look at the video when I send you the link? You can use the chat if you want to talk to me, or unmute yourself. Okay. Right, the video takes a little while to process, so I will, I'll be sending a link out late morning, early afternoon, and hopefully you'll find the time somehow to have a quick look at it again.